Windows exfiltration with a USB Rubber Ducky, or as I like to call it, involuntary backups. Oh yeah, this time on Hak5.
This segment of Hak5 is brought to you by Domain.com.
Hello and welcome to Hak5. My name is Darren Kitchen.
I'm Shannon Morse.
It's your weekly dose of Technolust.
And it's season 5! I mean 15!
No, you know what season it is. It's season F.
F
as in, it's hex. It's a hex
Freddy.
joke. It's a hex joke for the one there.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah, haha.
That was terrible.
Next season is 10, and that's really going to confuse people.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So DEF CON was really fun.
It sure was. It was insane.
I think I'm still recuperating from DEF CON because it was that tiring.
You got the DEF CON SARS?
No, I did not get this DEF CON SARS this year.
Okay,
so no DEF CON flu, nothing like that. I actually survived. I drank lots and lots of water like they always say to do.
Yes, so and I drank
good.
lots and lots of as well.
You drank all the things.
I drank all the things.
You accidentally the whole bottle.
Accidentally the whole DEF CON.
Yeah, it happens. So what's coming up for you?
Oh gosh, well, this season I will be wrapping up Hack Across America for, what is it, Q3? And then we're going to be doing, oh man, I can't even say. We've got fun stuff planned for this fall,
awesome.
This Christmas, whatever. So
yeah,
it's going to be
can't wait to check
really
it out.
good. I've got a whole series planned, but I don't want to get too much into it because I've got really cool stuff in the works.
Well, I have some serious ideas for season 15. Of course, if you guys have ideas, you can always email us feedback@hak5.org. But today, I'm going to be getting into how to run a whole bunch of Windows programs on Linux, a whole wrap-up of every single way that I can think of that you can possibly do that.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Nice. I'm going to be finding out what's up with the duck, as we like to do every couple of months, because there's been some really cool development in that community. And yeah,
awesome.
That should be really fun. As well as checking out a awesome hackerspace in Los Angeles, CrashSpace,
cool.
where I was last week as I was doing that talk on internet freedom, which was
I believe
awesome
my friend Patrick just moved down there, and he's checking out that place. So I'll have to ask him how it is.
Hey, speaking of your friend, there's also another friend that we have that's got an album coming out soon, don't we?
That's true, yeah. So, I don't know, maybe, well, yeah, they should be on sale by now.
If
so
you're
we can
on IRC, you should check out Pono Bozo.
Yay!
Yay!
I think he has some pre-orders coming up or something, or they're already there. I don't know. My dates get confused.
Hey, do you like ducks?
I love ducks. You just did that.
Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Thanks, dude. Thank you.
Today I'd like to take a look at the USB Rubber Ducky and some of the fun stuff that's happening within the community, as well as some really cool payloads for data backups that may be useful to you whether or not you have a Ducky or not. This is good, just Windows command line foo. But first and foremost, in terms of information security, exfiltration is simply defined as data theft. I like to think of it as an involuntary backup. And back in the days of the USB Switchblade, if you've been watching that long, I developed a fun payload known as the Hacksaw, which would automate this backing up of data off your target machine over a secure connection to an anonymous Gmail account. And looking back at that, it was actually really cool, however, a little noisy. I mean, it required SSL libraries to be installed, a SendMail-like executable to be installed. And so today what I'd like to do is look at a few better ways of backing up. And so a brief introduction to the duck. So the scenario is this. If you can get physical access to an unlocked machine, even for just a few seconds, all bets are off. And to achieve this previously, we used USB Switchblade, our go-to tool for auto-running code on a target machine. That tool violated Windows Auto Trust model, which, by having a specially crafted USB drive that both mimicked mass storage and a CD-ROM drive, well, it proved to be a highly effective attack platform when we introduced it in 2006. It's even been reported that parts of it were used in Stuxnet, so that's kind of cool. Yikes. But Microsoft patched the auto-run flaw and with the introduction of Vista. So then we started digging deeper, and it turns out there was an even bigger inherent trust to go ahead and violate, and it affects not just Windows machines, but really anything. Computers trust humans. I mean, they should, right? And humans speak to computers through keyboards. And it's the simplest, most single inherent trust in all of computing today. And that's what the USB Rubber Ducky sets out to do, to violate that trust. And we began this project in 2010 with a simple teensy dev board. And since then, the project has really come into its own as we've developed several iterations of custom purpose-built hardware, and through some remarkable efforts of the open source community, the Ducky has really come into its own. And so I'd like to share with you some really cool stuff that's come out of that right now. I wish that I could share with you some of the awesome Ducky stories that the pen testers and G-Men told me at DEF CON, but I digress. Okay, kids. Human interface device. Humans, they interact with the computers. We like the computers. And so I talk to a computer with a keyboard, a mouse, a joystick, fingerprint readers, whatever have you. I mean, previously, each of these different devices had their own purpose-built ports. I mean, you remember the purple PS2 port on a keyboard and the green PS2 port for a mouse, and sometimes you'd have like a 15-pin, orange sound card, on your sound card you'd have a game port, and each of these had their own protocol. But thankfully USB brought some sanity to this with a specification for human interface devices. And so in the world of HID, there's a device and a host, and so that would be, say a keyboard as the device and a PC as the host. It could just as well be, say, a keyboard and an Android tablet or smartphone. The only thing is that the host just needs to know how to communicate with the device. And for that, all it needs is this thing called a HID descriptor. It's a set of instructions that explains basically how, what the device is and how its packet structure works and whatnot. So you'll find special gaming keyboards with the more complex descriptors because they've got all those special keys. But generic drivers for most common HIDs like keyboards and mice, they're built into all modern operating systems, Windows, Mac, Linux, really anything. So it's really beautiful. So with all of that said, the USB Rubber Ducky is the idea to take that custom hardware, hide it inside of an inconspicuous looking thumb drive, and make a programmable HID so that we can actually get our auto run back on. And so I'm going to show off some of my favorites right now and some of the cool developments in the community. So just to start off and give you kind of an idea, what I have running over here on my Linux machine is I'm logged into a web server. I'm logged into a VPS up in the cloud, and I've done NCAT, which is a version of Netcat, and I'm listening on port 8002. Okay, so that's just to set that up. Now I also have a payload on this USB Rubber Ducky right here, and I'm going to go over to my Windows machine and minimize all of this. Now these payloads, a lot of times what you'll want to do is do some sort of obfuscation or other techniques to try to minimize how much time the computer looks like that it's being interactive. The scenario may be that the secretary leaves the desk, you have a few seconds, inject your payload, or actually how this all came to be was for me as a sysadmin. I had a bunch of these where I'd get calls from people at the office, and it'd be like, oh, you lost connection to the network printer? Well, grab the thing that says network printer and plug it in. So, it really depends on the scenario, but I like to try to keep it as minimal footprint as possible as far as the interactive bits on the screen. For these demonstrations, I have not done a lot of obfuscation just so that you can actually see what's going on here. So let's start with the Netcat, because this is a really beautiful example of why you would want a typey and not a mass storage device. So, all right, I'm at my Windows desktop, and I'm just going to go ahead and plug this in the USB port. And so the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to bypass UAC very quickly, hitting yes. We did that with a little PowerShell goodness, and now we are copying a new file into the computer. This is a VBS script, and that is going to base64 and take base64 encoded ASCII, turn it into binary, make it inexecutable. That's what we're injecting right now. All of these letters are just, it's base64 encoded, and the file's copied, and we've run it. And if we come back over to, it was that quick. That was all it was. And so, Paul, if you're able to pull up my my Linux machine here, there we are. I'm in C:\, Windows System 32. I'm on that system. Who am I? Oops. Who am I? And I am this machine over here. And that's, that was that quick, and we didn't actually download anything off of the network. We didn't, mount mass storage to get this. I mean, sure, we are using a very simple Netcat reverse shell. It was, I think, about 2 kilobytes, so it takes about 20 seconds to just jam that in keyboard-wise, which is beautiful because this thing never forgets anything. It doesn't have to, take a bathroom break or anything like that. It's always the same code. That's really cool because now that I'm on this machine, I can have all sorts of other fun. There are more crafty payloads, whether it's using an interpreter shell, or if you're doing an encrypted Netcat, which was probably a better idea. But that kind of illustrates what's possible. So with that said, I want to walk you through my new favorite payload, and this is for basically exfiltration, for backing stuff up. I want to be able to back up files off of this Windows computer without using mass storage and without going over the internet. And so for that, we're going to do a little bit of Wi-Fi slurping. So you've heard of maybe pod slurping before, where you take an iPod and you plug it into a machine, and using some auto run, you're able to, have the iPod turn into a portable hard drive and download all the data to it. You can do the same thing with USB Rubber Ducky as well, with a second thumb drive. But I like the idea of taking the target machine and just turning it into an access point. So let's dive into this code. So this exfiltration payload, the first thing that we're going to do here is pull up GUI R. That's the Windows R run menu, and we're going to enter in this PowerShell string. What this does here, the start process, is it opens command, but it does it with a run as. And so what that does here, I'll just go ahead and run it now, is I get a little pop-up that says, hey, UAC is like saying, are you sure you want to run this with admin privs? And of course we do, so all we have to do is either hit Alt-Y or hit the left arrow on our keyboard and enter. I like going with Alt-Y, but either way, there we are, we're System32. We are in, as you can see it right in the top left there, Administrator. So that allows us to do other cool stuff. We do a little bit of delay here, obviously, because we want to make sure that the windows are up. This is 1500 milliseconds. So after that, I do a little bit of obfuscation, and so when this all runs, you'll see it's going to go by really quick. So I'll just go ahead and run this in the command prompt now. This is kind of fun. You could do this on your Linux box, but hey, check that out. Okay, I just made it yellow on white, and now I'm going to do mode con::cols equals 40 lines equals 1. And now my command prompt is itsy bitsy and completely illegible. I know, this is nothing more than obfuscation. However, it's kind of fun. Another way to do this would be to just take that window and kind of put it below the start menu so that it's still active and you can still type in it. However, it's not visible on the screen. And so to do that, that would be an Alt space and then an M, and then just hit the down arrow a whole bunch, and you can see you can go way beyond. And then when you hit enter, it's back there, and it's still highlighted. If I hit Alt space and M, I can bring it back up here. Okay, so I'm going to close that out now. Basically, the rest of it I can show you in here. We create a batch file, actually. Here, I'll show you this. This is pretty cool. CopyCon is one of my favorites. It's basically like doing an echo with an EOF and some Waka Wakas in Linux, except it's the DOS variant. If you haven't figured it out yet, I find all of this fascinating because like DOS was my first, operating system. I didn't have a Windows machine. I had a IBM PC XT. So CopyCon was something that I learned pretty early on as an easy way to make a batch file. CopyCon, hello. You can type hello world. And when you hit Control-Z and enter, it saves the file. So that's what we're doing right here. And we're adding a new user called tech support, and then we set that new user to be part of the local admin group. So now we've got a local administrator. Now we're going to hide that local administrator with this registry entry here. And then we're going to enable file and print sharing. So this is the new commands for enabling file and print sharing, just in case it's not already on. We also come in and set a new share. So this share is called tech support, and it is C:// and unlimited. And then we're going to need to use ICACLS. That is a utility that's going to allow us to set the permissions for these users. And in this case, I'm adding the user tech support to grant access to C:/users \*, because if I were just to do this without doing that, if I do a start dot here, or start, hang on, cmd start dot, you'll see this folder right here. This is my my user home directory, and it does not by default have permission for this user. So that's what the ICACLs does, and we give it an F over here, which gives it full privs, and then we bring up any wireless interface. Now mind you, that's this is a bunch of NetSH fun stuff that enables the wireless network just in case that interface were to happen to be down. And mind you that obviously for this payload to work, your target needs to be actually like a machine with a wireless interface. And so it's kind of geared towards laptops in that sense. All right, so with all of that said, the very last fun bit is to start a network. So this netsh command, netsh wlan set hosted network, creates a soft access point with the SSID of our choosing, in this case tech support, and the key of our choosing, in this case tech support. And then this command right here just goes ahead and starts it all. So very last before we exit, I do like to do this. This is a fun one, totally useful with or without the ducky. The 4F in X, basically what this does is this WEVTUTIL allows you to do a CL, which is a clear, and this clears out log files. So if I were to do this now, just paste this into my admin prompt, bypass UAC, and paste that in. You can see what it does is it goes through everything, clearing out all of my logs, which is great because then if, say, I was going to help my friend back up the data off their computer over the Wi-Fi, I might want to also clear the logs so the forensics investigator is going to have a fun day. And so let's go ahead and take a look at running this. So yeah, it runs it, it exits, does the Control-Z to save it, runs it, and then I do an Alt-Space N. I love Alt-Space N, it's one of my favorites. Alt-Space N, minimize, right? So that means at the point that the window has become minimized, you can actually go ahead and pull the USB Rubber Ducky out because you're done. It's done typing. The rest of it is buffered in that shell script, that batch file that is then running in the background. It only takes it a moment. All said and done, I think this one is something like 25 seconds. I don't know. We'll see. So let's go ahead and do that. Plug it into the machine. You'll see. Get our PowerShell goodness on, bypass some UAC, and now everything gets tiny, and you pretty much can't see what it's doing for the rest of it until it minimizes, and now it's done. And I can unplug the duck, and the command prompt here will disappear in just a moment once it's done, clearing the logs and all that other fun stuff that I had doing. So let's come over to the Linux machine, because what this Windows box has done now is it has opened itself up to a whole bunch of cool possibilities. So I'm in my Ubuntu machine here. Now if I come over to wireless networks here and go to more, I'll see my USB Rubber Ducky network. I'm going to connect to that. Password is tech support. And now we'll go ahead and browse the network. And I see my target machine. I'm going to go into that. And now I see my tech support share, so let's go in there. And there we go. If I go into users, DK, the user that I just exploited, I can go ahead and into my documents and everything else. And now, if I'd like, I can actually download all of the contents of this computer to my computer to back it up. Or I could even put new files on there or change existing files, whatever have you, as long as my fun little hacker machine over here is within proximity of the target. I mean, mind you, while it's convenient that I only have to plug in the ducky for, 20 seconds for this payload to run, I do have to be close by to be able to download all of that information. However, I don't have to do it right now. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Over here on my Windows machine, I've got some post-exploitation cleanup that you can do. Basically, if you'd like, you can put a batch file in this location right here from your other machine, and basically what this will do is next time the person reboots, since it's in the program data, Microsoft Windows, start menu, program, startup, directory, this will always run, and you basically just have it delete the tech support command that we did, delete the user, delete the share, clear the log files. This del right here with the %F0, that actually deletes itself. There's some really cool stuff that you can do with these, with all of this magical variables that start with %. But one of the other fun things you could do is for persistence, you basically just run these again, and every time that computer boots, it will set up that wireless network. So if you're not able to grab all of the data off of it that you need to, perhaps you could go back and get it later, which I think is really cool. Some other really cool stuff going on in the Ducky community. Let me go back over to my Linux box here, because Skysploit right here has set up an awesome payload generator. I think we talked about this, like, I don't know, a few months ago, but basically this thing has really gotten more and more robust over time. This right here is a Ducky payload generator, and we can go in here and choose to create custom payloads, or to create reverse shell payloads, Wi-Fi attacks, password attacks, payloads for OS X and Linux, all sorts of other really cool ones that I can't even begin to get into here. This thing is so robust. For example, here we'll do a custom payload. We're going to do it for Windows 7 or Vista with admin access. We're going to say, yeah, we have UAC. We're going to choose how we're going to do our pre-attack stuff, whether we're going to minimize the command prompt, disable the firewall, enable some remote desktop. We can create those users. It's just so easy to come in here and just choose some options, and at the end of it, when we continue our attack, we're gonna, we could set up a proxy. We can do some PowerShell stuff. Yeah, we'll do some shells. We'll do a Metasploit shell. This will even set it up for you. You just enter in the IP addresses. It creates everything for you. I really love it. So that's definitely one to check out. As well as if you don't want to, this is it's a bunch of scripts, right? So it's really easy to get started on any Debian-based, whether it's Kali or Ubuntu or whatever have you, because there's installation scripts that take care of all of the dependencies. If you're running Kali Linux, it's really super simple to get started with this. But if you don't even want to go that route, there's also a new online generator that I really want to show some love to, because 411 on the forums has put together this. This is the Ducky Toolkit. The Duck Toolkit version 1 is out, and basically walks you through creating payloads over the web. So you basically just come in here and choose what you want, whether it's reconnaissance, if we want to grab user information, if we want to get a network scan going. Let's say we want to share some drive information. We want to copy the wireless profile, copy the Firefox profile. Let's disable the firewall and add a user and open some firewall ports and share the C drive and enable RDP. And then we can save all of this to an FTP, or we can email it to a Gmail account, and then we just hit continue. And for all of these, when you continue, first of all, you get to choose your keyboard layout. I'm going to go with American. And we can just basically fill in the blanks here. And it does the rest. It generates these payloads, which is really fantastic. I just love the cool stuff that's coming out of this open source community. There's way more than I could even cover right here. That applies whether you're doing it Ducky style, or you're just looking for ways to automate all sorts of fun Windows administration. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to take a break now. Gather some feedback at hak5.org on this, and next week I want to show off some other kind of cool slurping techniques. But until then, I'm going to hear from you at feedback at hak5.org, and we're going to take a quick break. Budding entrepreneurs, startups, and innovators are all turning their ideas into realities backed by the strength of a .NET domain. That's right, .NETs, they're globally known. It's one of the world's most popular domain extensions, and .NET domains inject your business with instant credibility. Entrepreneurs and startups are immediately discovering the advantages of building their web presence around a .NET domain. So get this, if you already have a .com, purchase the corresponding .NET and protect your online brand. Or is the .com you want already taken and you don't want to register a .com name that's like 25 characters long? It's cool. The .NET is a perfect alternative. And you can find a new .NET domain over at domain.com. I love domain.com because they are affordable, they're reliable, they're easy to use. .NETs are only like $8.99 a year. Plus, domain.com's active social media presence on Twitter at domain.com and a great customer support makes it really a fun place to do business. So get this, the guys over at domain.com are huge fans of Hak5 and you guys, so they want to hook you up, get 15% off their already affordable domain names and web hosting. All you have to do is use the coupon code Hak5 at domain.com's checkout. That's 15% off and big time savings, so don't forget to use the coupon code Hak5. When you think domain names, think domain.com.
Last week's trivia question was, who is the creator of Hak5, an open source hardware project to build a software-defined radio peripheral? And the answer was Mike Osman. Now this week's question is, Advanced Encryption Standard, aka AES, was introduced in what year by what establishment? You can answer that over at hak5.org/trivia for your chance to win some awesome Hak5 goodies.